Good evening and welcome to the Monday, June 10, 2019 Board of Education meeting. Please rise and join with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. And after we are finished with the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd ask that people remain standing, if they would, for a moment of silence. Guilford lost a great citizen last week, Carl Balistraci Jr., who was a longtime educator here, both at the high school and at the Adams Middle School, and also served the town admirably on the Board of Selectmen, including 2 terms as first selectman. So please, after the Pledge of Allegiance, join me in a moment of silence for Mr. Balistraci. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So out of deference to our student representatives, we've been asked both directly and indirectly to try to move them up a little bit on the agenda. And I understand from Mr. Masseni that there is an initial presentation that one of our student reps and a colleague of hers in the International Baccalaureate program would like to do for the board. And I think Natalia Perez is here on behalf of one of the International Baccalaureate students, who I understand is on her way to Yale University in the fall, and she has would like to talk to the board a little bit about the project that she was involved in for the International Baccalaureate program.
Mia and I and another student who unfortunately couldn't be here, Arthur, we're 3 seniors in the IB program, and as part of a sort of culminating project that students in the program are required to do, we wrote, illustrated, and self-published a children's book about the history of the Guilford Fair. This is what it looks like. And it's called Guilford Fair Days. My role was completing the research and writing the text, so it's aimed at 3rd and 4th graders to try to get them interested in the community and also teach them a little bit about the fair. And it was a very interesting project because I didn't know a lot about the history before, but now I actually know a lot, and it was a very interesting process. Mia did the illustrations, so she did the watercolors, I believe, and they came out beautifully. And Arthur was involved in the publishing aspect of the book, and so this was just a fun community project. We actually presented it to 3rd and 4th graders at Calvin Leet, I think about a month ago, and we received a lot of good response from that. So this has been a fun project. They will be available for sale at the Guilford Keeping Society and hopefully Breakwaters.
Mia,
The specific
go ahead up to the podium.
the specific Guilford Keeping Society museums that they will be available at are the Griswold House and the Meadad Stone Tavern. And I guess I'll just say a thing on the brief thing on the creation process of this book. So it started off actually about a year ago, I want to say about June 1st of last year, when we were IB 11 students getting ready to transition into the 2nd year of IB. And so I had this idea for a children's book because I wanted something that would really be able to capture all 3 of our interests. Natalia's being writing, mine being illustration, and Arthur's being the technology side of a lot of these things. And I was looking at what's available to the community, and I noticed that there was no children's book. There wasn't really anything aimed at the children of the community who would be the most interested in the fair and who really need to know about the history of Guilford. And so we decided to make a high-quality product that could be available for sale to the community. And today we would like to present the board with a copy of the book for everyone. So,
Terrific. Thank you very much.
And we have a special copy for Ann Keene.
She loves children's books.
I was just going to say, that couldn't be more appropriate.
You can go. Well, or
Natalia, could you help me? Just...
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. I am. This is great.
I don't get one.
Oh.
So it is, I should indicate that they are going to present, as I understand it, they're going to meet with Joel Helander, the town historian, on Thursday at 10 o'clock at the library and present him with a copy. Joel, former Judge Helander, but now Mr. Helander, is one of the, is probably knows more about the Guilford that used to be than anybody else in town, and he has helped anybody with any kind of historical questions about this. So it's going to be at 10 o'clock at the library. And First Selectman Hoey is going to be there, and some other people are going to be there and make a formal presentation to Mr. Helander from this book. So I can tell you it is really well done. I mean, it's really well done. It's one of those things where you kind of chew your fingernails. Is this thing going to come out reasonably nice? It came out better than reasonably nice. It is a fabulous production. I mean, this is professional level, and 3 12th graders did this. It's terrific. So, if you want to get them to autograph it, and the expectation that they're going to be a Pulitzer Prize somewhere in the future, and you have a collector's item, that can be arranged. So, thank you,
Thank you
Natalia.
very much.
Thank you, Mia,
Thank you.
and thank Arthur for us too. The third member of the group, Arthur Dolemier, is actually from France, and he was just here for a couple of years, right? Is that when last year is when he started?
Came in for first year of IB.
Okay, so last year, yeah. So he fit right into the IB program, and had a terrific time here, and really helped coordinate a terrific project. So thank you all. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Why don't we ask for your report at this point? We'll go to that. So it's item, whatever it is on the agenda. 7, yes.
Okay, so starting with the elementary schools, at Guilford Lakes, Channel 8 News came on Wednesday and will be airing a piece on the music program and the ukulele unit being done with the 4th grade class. 4th grade students also participated in Early Guilford Day this month, which gave students an opportunity to dress up as if they lived in the colonial days of early Guilford and participate in a variety of themed events. 2nd graders went on a field trip to Stony Creek and the Thimble Islands in Brantford. And for A.W. Cox, I currently don't have any information, so let's move on to me.
All right. So at Melissa Jones, 3 Guilford High School students presented their capstone projects last Thursday to the 4th grade classes. And they believed it was a wonderful learning experience for all the 4th graders. And the topics presented on included equine therapy, a ceramic startup, and Special Olympics. The Melissa Jones School Annual Talent Show was held at the end of May. There were over 40 talent act performances with about 80 students from kindergarten through 4th grade. And the consensus was it was very popular and very well done. So, and then the June Field Day was held last Friday. It was a huge success with water games, outside relays, and activities, dance and disco, an outside picnic lunch, and Reed Amusement provided blow-up rides. And they would like to thank the parent volunteers for their assistance. And on Tuesday, the 1st graders will present as budding researchers as a celebration of their research on favorite animals. And the grade 4 stepping up ceremony will be held on Thursday in order to celebrate the 4th graders stepping up to middle school. And they made a friendship bridge when the students arrived in kindergarten or as new students, and now they will make a bridge of students and staff in order to bridge them to middle school. And Calvin Leet. So Calvin Leet students have been able to enhance their learning through a variety of recent field trips, including the Eli Whitney Museum, the Beardsley Zoo, the Guilford Free Library, and Jacobs Beach. The kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2 classes held author shares last week, with students sharing their writing from throughout the year with their family members. And 4th graders have been busy with end-of-year activities, including Early Guilford Day on May 21st, the transition visit to Baldwin Middle School on June 4th, Fourth graders also presented an arts performance called Take a Drum Ride, where they not only demonstrated group drumming skills, but also cooperation and collaboration necessary for successful group performance. And Calvin Leet Field Day was also a success on Friday, May 31st, with fun activities and great weather. And then finally, as a culminating Choose Love community outreach activity, Calvin Leet put their compassion into action by collecting items for the Guilford Food Bank. Now let's move on here.
At Adams, math screening has concluded for 6th and 7th graders, and the data collected will be used for math placement in grades 7 and 8. 2 of their students took part in the torch run through Guilford on June 7th, and they were headed to the site of the Special Olympic Games in New Haven. Field trips are scheduled for this week for both grades. 7th graders will be going to Jacobs Beach, and 8th graders will be going to Hammonasset State Park. The 8th grade closing celebration will be held the morning of Thursday, June 13th, followed by the very popular staff-student softball game, and then on Friday, Adams will have a talent show and a barbecue to close out the year. Then at Baldwin, over the last 3 weeks, the orchestra, band, and chorus groups have presented concert performances to the entire school during the day, and then to the parents and friends in evening concerts. And this year, a few current 5th grade students visited each elementary school to share their experiences and answer questions about Baldwin, and it's been a very valuable addition to the transition process. The first ever Baldwin 6th grade Bonanza was held last Friday, the 7th. It was a 6th grade only full field day style event held on the grounds of Baldwin, and it was a big success. And finally, Baldwin will be recognizing their 6th graders on the last day of school as they prepare to step up to Adams Middle School as 7th graders.
So from the high school, senior prom was held on May 31st, and it went without incident, and everyone had a lot of fun. Feminist Alliance has completed a successful pads and tampons drive, and we held a packing party to organize all of the donations into care packages that will be sent to the Period organization.
And final exams are this week, and on the other hand, the IB and AP examinations are done, and the IB exams were done at the VFW Hall, which was highly appreciated.
Scholarship night was held on May 28th, and $280,000 worth of scholarships were given out to the graduating class. And then graduation rehearsal will be held on Thursday in the gym at the high school, and then Friday morning on the green. And finally, spring sports have concluded at the high school. It was a very successful season. Boys lacrosse reached the finals of the SEC tournament and the semifinals of the state tournament. Girls lacrosse won the SEC tournament, and they as well made it to the Final Four of the state tournament. And boys tennis made it to the semifinals of the SEC tournament, and they wrapped up a great spring sports season.
Is that it? And nothing else happening? So is something happening Friday here in Guilford?
A little bit of something.
Yeah.
Well, graduation is all set. Hopefully, we'll be out on the green as scheduled, starting at 6 p.m. I'd urge people to get there a couple of minutes early, since the front rows do tend to sell out relatively quickly. And I should have mentioned this when you were talking about the book, but just in case anybody's wondering, the book will be for sale, but nobody makes any money on it. They are under the IB rules. They can only charge what the cost of production is, and so that's strictly it. So Mia and Noah, we are losing you this year. You are moving on, and we do have a couple of. You don't get much in terms of tangible goods for coming to these meetings for a year, but we do have a couple of things that we'd like to recognize you for, and I'd like Mr. Kazin to please join me. No, if you would join me up here. Noah, you've been a valuable representative of the student body to the Board of Education. We're grateful for everything that you've done in terms of giving us input on some of the important issues that we've been working on over the last year. We're very pleased about your enrollment in the International Baccalaureate Program, and I hope you found it as valuable as we think that we believed it would be when people started to enroll in it. You're going to be going to the University of Washington.
I will be, yes.
And so that's very exciting. You have been, there's first of all, as a student representative, we do have a certificate of recognition for you from Dr. Friedemann and myself, and we are thankful and grateful for your service.
Thank you.
You also, though, have been awarded something from the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education Student Leadership Award. So for the same reasons that I just talked about, you have been recognized by this statewide group as a student leader, and again, grateful for everything that you've done for us. And best of luck moving forward at the University of Washington.
If you come up. So Mia, everything that was just said to Noah about your father pertains to you as well. And we definitely appreciate all the, not just doing all the activities that you do in sports and in classes and after classes, but the passion that you bring. And it's my distinct pleasure to provide you with a certificate of recognition by the Guilford Public School System, as well as CABE's, Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, recognition of student leadership. And I know that these are very well-deserved by you. I know that you're going to Cornell, and you're going to run at Cornell.
Other way around.
Oh, the other one. So thank you very much, and thank you for the book. I do want to collect an autograph later.
Thank you.
Mia's going to be going to the Washington University in St.
Yes.
Louis, yes.
Washington's over there.
Yes, it's both, I think this is the first time that both of our student reps have gone to a Washington-related school, even though neither one of them is in Washington City. But we really, really appreciate everything you've done. And someday we'd like to maybe have you back just to talk informally about the IB program and your takes on it, because, you know, it's been something that we kind of worked really hard to get put together, and hopefully it's been as useful for you as we thought it would be. So with that, our thanks, and hopefully, Abigail, we'll see you next year in the fall, and you should have a long, restful summer, and to Mia and Noah, good luck, and really are grateful for everything you've done, and look forward to hearing terrific things from you. One I'll hear from probably a little quicker than the other. Hopefully. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and Mia, you guys get to keep your nameplates.
I was about to ask.
You get to take that with you.
The odds are low that there will be anybody else with that name in the
Yeah,
immediate future serving.
no John Smiths.
Right. Okay, so let's go, if we can, to item 3 on the agenda, which is to review and approve minutes of May 13, 2019. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Second.
Changes, corrections?
I do have one on page 5, under 9.4.1. First sentence, Dr. Brass-Tracy noted that because of the recent changes made to, and I just, instead of just regulations policy and regulations prohibiting smoking, to include electronic nicotine delivery systems, just so it's clear what that's about.
Okay.
Got it.
Anything else? All right, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Abstain?
Mr. Kazin abstains. And then 3.2, action on the May 28, 2019 workshop minutes.
So moved?
Second.
Any corrections, additions? I did see an article today, we were talking about e-cigarettes and vaping, and I did see an article today that there's actually another danger that we haven't talked about much, and that is that the batteries can explode. They're lithium batteries, and they are unstable. These are the same kind of batteries that you can't fly on in an airplane in your checked baggage. So there are some cases floating around of batteries exploding. So it's a fire hazard. So anyway, all right. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And Ms. Sullivan abstains. Okay. Item 4, public forum for topics on the board agenda. No? All right. Item 5, review and approve the expenditures for the month of May. Ms. Rader.
Yes, so I'll report on the financials. Expenditures for the month of May were a total of $4,782,810.24. We had revenue of $375,356, which included our excess cost grant in the amount of $335,803. We also received a payment from prior year for the excess cost grant of $39,066. We can go through each thing. The employment benefits, the amount expended is lower than the prior year. Purchase services, the amount expended is higher than the prior year, but there are some encumbrances that we anticipate will not be expended at the year-end close. Tuition, I just covered the excess cost grant, which was actually, I came in at a 73.6% of what I anticipated, so that was higher than anticipated, so that was a positive note. And then, so the warrant we are submitting is a total of all payments for the month listed. The total payments listed on the warrant total $2,153,516.22.
Okay, I take that's a motion to approve the expenditures. Is there a second?
Second?
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This is probably a good place to note that, with the passage of the state budget last week, I've had a couple of questions about how does that impact us. And, if you'll recall, the Board of Finance made a prediction about what we thought might happen. And recognizing that was, what is this, June? So that was 4 months before the state had a budget. So, in fact, the Board of Finance did very well compared to the final state budget. And I should say that our reps and our Representative Scanlon and Representative Candelora and Senator Cohen also did a terrific job looking out for the interests of Guilford. But the bottom line is that the Board of Finance anticipated cuts that were $266,000 greater than actually the state budget wound up imposing on us. So we are starting, which is not, that's like 0.25% of our budget, so I don't want to get crazy, but we are starting off in a better shape than we thought we were going to be in. And the Board of Finance, once again, was quite responsible in their prediction. So, hopefully we will continue in that direction, and the second year of the biennial budget will not be quite as uncertain, shall we say. So, item 6, communications. Anything? It's been quiet.
Okay.
We did get some communications regarding the bus accident. I know, Dr. Freeman, you're going to talk about that in a minute. So,
Yes.
Item 8 on the agenda is a superintendent's report.
Yes. So first, if you would indulge me, I do want to take a moment before I go into the items listed on the agenda, and I do want to draw the board and the community's attention to the fact that there are 2 administrators who tonight are attending their last public meeting of the Board of Education with us. This year, both Catherine Walker and Ann Keene will be moving on from Guilford Public Schools. Each of them has given 2 decades of service to this community and to these students, and we are deeply indebted to both of them for what they have contributed to this community. And I can say for myself and for all of us in the community that they are both going to be very, very missed in this community. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize their presence here tonight and thank them for everything that they've done for this school community in 40 combined years of service. I would note for the board that in your packet you have a copy of Bridges to Learning. It is a communication of the Institute for Learning. And when you have time tonight, I would ask you to please take a look at page 6 of that publication. I think that you'll find it interesting. I also want to take a moment tonight to introduce Elise Poller from the Connecticut Council for Social Studies. I think I saw Elise come in. If you would come to the podium, please, Elise. Elise is going to help with a teacher recognition that we would like to make this evening.
So thank you. I'm Elise Poller. I'm from Mansfield Middle School, a long rainy drive, so I'm sorry that I'm late. I am also president-elect of the Connecticut Council for the Social Studies, and for those of you who don't know, the Connecticut Council for the Social Studies is the Gold Star affiliate of the National Council for the Social Studies. That's the professional state organization for social studies education. And our mission is to advocate for and advance the teaching of social studies at all grade levels. Our board is comprised of volunteer K-12 teachers and administrators, college professors, personnel from museums, other organizations, and we work together to try and push for robust professional development and networking opportunities so that social studies education thrives in the state. And one of the most rewarding aspects of our year is recognizing excellence among our social studies colleagues throughout the state through our slate of annual awards. And feel free to check out the website for all the other awards. We would like to thank Thomas Bushnell, the social studies instructional leader for Guilford, for nominating Dennis Culleton and his Witness Stones project for this year's CCSS Special Projects Award. The Special Projects Award serves to highlight exceptional social studies projects that engage students in unique, relevant, and inspiring learning activities. The criteria states that the project must engage students in a creative, meaningful, and effective manner. It should be fundamentally collaborative, encourage lifelong learning, and foster a spirit of inquiry. The project should also foster the development of democratic beliefs and values, and CCSS feels that the Witness Stones project meets all of these criteria. As Mr. Bushnell wrote in his nomination, the Witness Stone project challenges students to analyze primary source documents in an effort to restore the history and honor the humanity and contributions of the enslaved individuals who helped build your local communities. Students use probate records, autobiographies, property records, maps, manumissions, church records, and other primary sources in order to research locally enslaved persons and write a biographical sketch of their lives. Having students delve deeply into local Connecticut history makes the larger context of slavery in the United States more real and personal. Exploring the stories and struggles of individual slaves in the Guilford area helps students understand the broader economic, historical, and cultural impacts of the practice. Most importantly, it makes those individuals individuals, a potent reminder of how important it is to see the most vulnerable in our society as human beings worthy of support and attention. We are grateful to Dennis Culleton for his work to make Witness Stones a challenging, interesting, and worthwhile experience for our students. We are proud to present this $500 check to the Adams Middle School to continue his good work going forward. Congratulations on your retirement, Mr. Culleton, and also Principal Walker. Congratulations to you as well. And thank you for your work on this project and for your many years of contribution to effective social studies instruction. We wish you all the best in this next chapter in your life. And we thank the board for giving us the time to recognize him at this moment. So thanks very much. Is he here?
He is right here. Get on camera.
Mr. Culleton, we're going to, Mr. Culleton, step up this way a little bit. Well, no, we just wanted to, no, we don't want the check. I just wanted to make sure that this is on camera, frankly. And I wonder if we could ask you to just say a word or two. I think many of us know a little bit about the Witness Stones project, but if you could say a word or two about it, that would be terrific.
Sure. First, this is a grand surprise, so I'll have to hit Tom tomorrow. But part of the reason it's so wonderful is because of the collaboration. It was both a social studies and language arts effort, and having the full support of Ann Keene and Dr. Freeman and Catherine has made it something that you can imagine to do, and it works. But the starting of the Witness Stones project began with a friend of mine, after hearing me speak about local slavery, came back from Germany and talked about the stones that are in the ground there where Jews lived and were captured and murdered under the Holocaust. And he said, we know slavery is different, but it was a tragedy and atrocity that happened here, and how can we remember our locally enslaved? And the joke is, if you bring a pain to a surgeon, they're going to want to operate, or you bring an idea to a teacher and they want to make it an educational unit. But it's really taken off. It's just so fulfilling to see the kids know that they're doing something original, and that they're looking at the past and uncovering a history that hadn't been uncovered before. And really rolling up their sleeves and doing the heavy lifting of analyzing primary documents that we hope that they are able to do, but certainly with their effort and the effort of a team of teachers and paraprofessionals, that we've been able to make this something special, and then it's starting to take off. So this year they put 10 stones in the ground in West Hartford. Middletown is interested. Teaching Tolerance magazine from the Southern Poverty Law Center came and wrote a story about us. And one of the reasons I'm retiring is to have time to take this, to continue churning here in Guilford and continue using my own research in Guilford, but to bring this to other communities, because the great fulfillment of this is not only our students learning about people of color who contributed to our community, but students of color learning about people of color contributing to Connecticut. There's not much diversity in our history books, and there's not much ways for those students to feel connected to our communities. So I'm hoping, I think the dream is that we bridge a gap, and maybe someday our Guilford kids are presenting to the kids in New Haven, or the West Hartford kids or Glastonbury kids are presenting or being presented to by the kids in Hartford. So that would be the dream, and surprisingly, this project brings along a lot of goodwill. So a lot of the things I'm imagining are happening already. So I'm very excited about that.
Terrific. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you for your support.
So what else can you tell us, Dr. Freeman? What else
Yeah,
is
so
going
it's a
on
little
in
bit of
the-
a rough segue, but I
Yeah.
also, the board was updated during their operations meeting earlier this evening, but I do want to mention again, and for the public, I want to just reiterate, this Friday morning, this past Friday morning at approximately 7 a.m., we did experience a rather serious bus accident in Guilford. A high school bus running on Long Hill Road, just beginning its route.
Durham Road.
Sorry, Durham Road. Just beginning its high school run, was involved in an accident with a private vehicle. There were 9 students on the bus when this occurred. It was a serious accident. There were some injuries among the students on the bus. At this point, it does not appear that there's any fault that is laying with the bus driver or the bus company. And in fact, I want to commend and thank the members of the Guilford Police and Fire Departments who responded to care for our students, as well as Mr. Macenti and Dr. Keene and Mr. Bowden and Laurie Hahn, who immediately responded. Mr. Macenti and Mrs. Podlinski from the high school were on scene with the students. Dr. Keene and Mr. Bowden were on scene with the students. Fire and rescue responded, and all of the students were cared for immediately and as well as we could. All of their parents were contacted, and while it was a very serious incident, all of the students at this point are well and recovering. Again, I wanted to make sure that all the members of the community were aware of what did occur, the facts around that event, and again, just to acknowledge that everybody who responded immediately and incredibly well. I am proud of our students, and I'm proud of all of the adults who responded to care for our students.
You know, I think just reiterating that the emails that the community got in the immediate after that go so far.
Yes.
To, first of all, just being open, you know, and letting people know what's going on, and you know, people are worried about it. You know, people are, you know, where is that bus? Is everybody okay? I thought Ms. Hahn's communications were, as usual, terrific, and just that kind of communication goes so far to, first of all, just letting people know what the facts are, but then also preventing people from spreading not the facts. Right. So I think we all encourage that continued approach.
Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Okay. All right. Well, 9.1 is to act on 3 personnel items. There is a proposal that we ratify the superintendent's appointment of James Papa as the assistant principal at Adams Middle School. So do you want to talk about that, or do you want to, I know Mr. Regan is here. Does Mr. Regan want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to cover some of the first pieces. I do want to note that for this position, we drew a pool of approximately 170 qualified applicants who are interested in this particular position at Adams Middle School. Mr. Regan led a interview committee who poured through all of those materials, conducted many screening interviews, and finally met with a number of candidates at a final interview. Mr. Papa comes through very much as the highest qualified candidate and the best fit for us. Mr. Papa has had extensive experience in the Avon school system. He worked in the science field before beginning his teaching career. He was a science teacher before moving to administration. He has served as an assistant principal at both the middle level and high school level in Avon, and he's excited about relocating to the shoreline and joining this Guilford community. He's been following the work that we've done in Guilford for some time, and I know he wants to be part of this team. I know he's looking forward to joining Adams, and I know that he's looking forward to working with Mr. Regan and continuing the legacy of Mrs. Walker at Adams Middle School.
Terrific. Do you want to say anything?
Want to
Mr.
add anything
Regan?
to that? I can't top that. We are excited, and we ask for your approval and for his appointment tonight.
All right, is there a motion to ratify Mr. Papa's appointment?
So moved?
Second.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, terrific.
Thank you.
Well, look forward to working with him, and I know that I think I met him actually
I believe
during
you
the
have crossed paths with him.
the interview process for Mr. Regan actually, and I recall him as being a very gifted educator, and so I think we're all going to look forward to meeting him and working with him. Then there were two other personnel changes. One is to ratify the resignation of Elizabeth Seidner, who's a music teacher at Jones, effective June 30th. Is there a motion to ratify that resignation?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then ratify an appointment of Sarah May as a Spanish teacher at Baldwin Middle School, effective July 1. Is there a motion to ratify that appointment?
So moved?
Second? Second. Okay. Any questions, comments? Yes?
Principals are actively in the midst of teacher interviews and hires. You will begin to see a series of teacher hires as we replace those who have resigned or retired this year. This will be the first of several that you see coming through.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Sorry, opposed? That's okay. I didn't forget this time, but I was reminded nonetheless. Yeah, so, and this is a good example, though, of, it's not easy to hire foreign language teachers, especially at the middle school level, but, this is somebody with experience, which is not a bad thing, but it's also not likely to be able to hire lower-level teachers for this particular subject area and some of the STEM areas.
World language, math, science, special education will all be areas where we may need to offer some years of experience in order to land the right candidates for those positions.
So be it.
Thank you.
9.2 is to receive a textbook, U.S. history and geography. Does anybody want to say anything?
Dr. King?
So the first text, these are both texts for next school year. So they don't have to be approved tonight. We can, once they can go through the process and be approved in July if the board so wishes. The first one is U.S. history. This concludes our social studies. We've been purchasing social studies text since we adopted our new curriculum year before last. This is our final major purchase, and this is for U.S. history in grade 11. It is called United States History and Geography, McGraw-Hill. It looks like a really big, heavy book, and it is. It has a lot of primary source documents and a lot of relative information in here for kids. There's also an e-text, so kids will have electronic versions as well. But they will have that as a resource in their classrooms. The second, you want to go on and do
You
the
just go
second
ahead.
text?
Sure. They're just both receive items. so-
Yes, they're both received.
Both will be available at Lathrop House for the next month, both for board members and the community if they want to review.
The second text is for AP and IB biology. And our textbook was quite old, And we did want to update this one to be more in line with the next generation science standards. It does also have electronic text and has other electronic or online pieces for students, such as graphics and quizzes that they can take, and will become an integral part of the instruction. It does also have a test bank for the AP test that it comes with it. So both of these texts are for receive items, and they will be on display at Lathrop House if anyone in the community would like to come and review them for any reason.
Okay. Anybody have questions, comments this evening? If anybody has questions, obviously just communicate with
Yes.
central office and we can try to take care of it. It might be the heaviest book we
I was
have.
just-
I mean,
I'll look at it in a second.
Okay, well, that's fine. We'll just take those, and I assume if they're ordered in July, assuming this is approved, there's no trouble getting them for the start of the
It's
school year.
about a 2-week turnaround.
Oh, good.
So we'll
Okay.
have them in plenty of time.
All right. Policy committee recommendations?
Yes. The policy committee is bringing several policies and regulations, asking the board to act on these. They were received items last month at our May meeting. Policy 5431, animals in school. This policy has been updated to address service animals that may be required for particular students. Likewise, the regulation 5431 accommodates this same potential need. Do we want to vote on them together or separately?
Well, they're separate,
Okay.
so we might as sort of.
Okay, so first, the policy, I am recommending approval of policy 5431, animals in school, as it has been updated.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any questions about this?
This was received last time.
Correct.
right?
Yes.
And I've received no
We've had a
comments.
chance to
Yeah, and I
look
have,
at this.
yes, I haven't received any comments either.
I guess my only question would be the language about working service animals will be allowed per state and federal guidelines. I take it that building administrators know what those guidelines are. There's some kind of,
Yes, and this brings us into compliance, yes.
okay. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. And then the regulation?
That's right, regulation 5431, I'm asking for the board's approval, or making a motion for the board's approval for the regulation that accompanies this policy, animals in school.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions about the regulation? All right, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it carries. More?
Okay,
More
yes.
from the policy
Second one,
committee?
That's
All
right, we've been busy.
All right.
Policy 5710, physical restraint and seclusion. This is the policy that, we will next look at the regulation that both identifies what can and cannot be done in terms of assisting students who are at times needing occasionally some restraint or having some behavioral issues that require some attention.
And again, brings us into compliance with changing state statute.
That's right. So I'm asking the board, making a motion to approve policy 5710, physical restraint and seclusion.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I will note that this policy and also the regulation I'm about to introduce were heavily vetted by Jason Spaziano, who is our Director of Pupil Services, and in fact, the policy committee met with him several times as we went through both the policy and the regulation to make sure that we were kind of providing the best language for both of these. So I am now going to make a motion that the board accept regulation 5710, physical restraint and seclusion.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything
Right.
else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Under committee reports, first committee listed is the policy committee.
That is
So
right.
is that all you've been doing?
That is what we've been doing,
all right.
and we did not meet last month, so we have no new update at the moment.
Okay, Mr. Sands, Operations Committee?
Yes, the Operations Committee reviewed several items. The good news is that the turf field is in the final stages of being restored, and it looks like it'll be online and available within a month, which is ahead of schedule. This is really good news. The facilities people are, of course, gearing up for the summer campaign of repairs and replacements, and all of those contractors are mobilizing, and we're going to be in the schools as soon as the students have left for the summer. We reviewed the district emergency drills policy and made sure that we were in compliance with the state law with respect to that. And we looked at the financial forecasts for the year, and it appears that at the moment, that the district will be showing a deficit for the first time since I've been on the board of something less than $200,000 for the fiscal year. And we've discussed various ways that can be covered. I would say that given the very high costs that we've had in some areas, especially special education, that it's actually good news that the deficit is as small as it is, because a couple of months ago, it could have been a lot bigger.
And we will close the school year in balance. Important to note that we
Yeah.
did discuss that we will be able to close
There's
the
a
school in
mechanism
balance.
to do that.
We'll be
Yes.
able to move some money from one line to
Yes.
another line,
Yeah.
and so there will not be a request of the Board of Finance for any kind of a supplemental appropriation. We don't need
That's
it.
correct.
That's right.
That's correct. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Curriculum Committee?
Yes, we met at the end of May, and we discussed three main topics. The first was the redesign of the sixth grade math program, specifically regarding the advanced math class that currently is available in sixth grade. We were given information that it's very few kids compared to the amount of sixth graders, and the idea will be that there are, equal expectations for high achievement for all students, and we'll get some updates as we go into the school year next year. Second, we heard some information about co-teaching, and, kind of similar to that idea, but that all teachers will work together to support all students, not just those with education plans. And one item that stuck in my mind in regards to keeping students with their peers all the time, or at least as much as possible, was the idea that teachers would start using Google Classroom to send individually appropriate student work, so that it would be, appropriate to each student, but we kept personalized and respectful during the classroom. And the last thing we talked about was looping at the elementary schools, maybe Baldwin and Adams. And the idea is that students would potentially have the option to stay with a teacher for more than 1 year. And it's something that's being explored. And it has happened from time to time over the years already.
And it's not something we are planning for the immediate
Right.
future, but we will continue to study that practice. One last thing that I think is important to note, our assessment window closed on Friday, June 7th. And for the first time in my career, we have 100% participation in every single school. We had no medical exemptions. We had no parent refusals. So I can safely say that our results at least will be accurate to the fact that all of our students participated. And that is thanks to a lot of effort with the teachers and the principals in supporting our students and making sure that it is not stressful, and that it can be done over time, and not putting a deadline on the assessment. So that's a big deal.
That's terrific.
Great.
And a fun fact that we learned is that students in Finland have the same teacher from kindergarten through 6th grade.
Yes.
And so the Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment Committee recesses for the summer because we do not have workshop meetings, and we will reconvene in the fall
October.
without Anne.
Yes. 10.4, Town Committee liaisons. Is there anything town committee-wise? No? Okay. Learn Board of Directors, I know that there is a meeting coming up this week sometime that I'm not sure that, these daytime meetings are.
I know, it's really
It's
tough,
really
not
painful.
good.
yeah.
Well, and I would just share, I know at your last meeting, Mr. Baglio informed you that Dr. Howley was stepping down as director. They have, in the interim, named the new executive director, Kate Erickson, who had been the deputy director, and who many of you will recall, she did an internship here to secure her
right.
superintendent certification. Kate has been named the new executive director at Learn, and she will do fantastic work. She'll do a great
Okay.
job.
That's terrific. All right, item 11, public questions. Anybody? Public? Not a lot of public here. All right. Item 12, executive session update on negotiations and also superintendent's evaluation. But before we go into that, I just want to repeat, both with Dr. Ann Keene and Catherine Walker have really been exemplary leaders in this district for a long time. A lot of people don't see the day-to-day activities that a middle school principal is involved in, don't see the day-to-day, certainly don't see what the associate superintendent does from day to day. But I can assure you that these two people this district has improved dramatically in the last 20 or 25 years, both in terms of instruction, learning. Mrs. Walker and Dr. Keene have been two of the pillars in that effort, and they deserve certainly the board's thanks, but also really deserve the community's thanks. We would not be here without what they've done for this district. I think anybody who's had any level of involvement with the schools knows that. So I want to thank you and wish you well in your retirement. And I just want you to know that we saw what you did. And I think the community saw what you did too. And we know that there are no, at least I don't think there are no accidents in public education, and the improvement that's been made here was a result of a lot of hard work and a lot of deliberate choices and a lot of terrific supervision and talented faculty, obviously. But you, Mrs. Walker and Dr. Keene, have been very much at the front of that, so thank you. So with that, I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we'll be coming out of public session only for the purpose of adjourning, and there will be no further public votes this evening. Thank you.